shine through. Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Love upon love upon love, all hearts beating as one. Light upon light upon light, all disappear into one. Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Love upon love upon love, all hearts beating as one. Light upon light upon light, all disappear into one. Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder on this last Sunday in July, a moment in time for us as a congregation full of anticipation and hope, and perhaps also some trepidation as we look forward in the coming month to the arrival of our new minister, Reverend David Schwartz, and also to the long-awaited but still uncertain resumption of in-person gathering for worship scheduled for August 22nd. As I once might have said, God willing, but now I will say pandemic permitting. My name is Steve Todd, and I will be the worship leader for today's service. We welcome all at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. If you are a new visitor, please email our office administrator, Amy Zen, and let us know that you found us. You will find her email in the Zoom chat. Our church website has a great deal of information about the church and activities, and that also is being posted in the chat. And now, as we begin, please ensure that your microphones remain muted, your minds and hearts open, and join us for worship.
Good morning, my friends. It is a joy to be with you. And this morning, I am thinking of walking in the woods, spending time in nature, and I share with you Mary Oliver's poem, How I Go to the Woods. Ordinarily, I go to the woods alone, with not a single friend, for they are all smilers and talkers, and therefore unsuitable. I don't really want to be witnessed talking to the catbirds or hugging the old black oak tree. I have my way of praying, and you no doubt have yours. Besides, when I am alone, I can become invisible. I can sit on the top of a dune as motionless as the uprise of weeds until the foxes run by, unconcerned. I can hear the almost unhearable sound of the roses singing. If you have ever gone to the woods with me, I must love you very much. Come, my friends, let us worship together.
There will be better days. 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 There will be better days.
Good morning, everyone. Reverend Dana's sermon title made me think of Bezos' flight in space, his weightlessness, certainly not on solid ground. I can relate a little bit to not being on solid ground, remembering my rock climbing and peak bagging days. If you climb North Maroon Bill, don't grab one of those inviting handholds surrounded by what you think is solid lichen, because it might come out right in your hand. Reed and I had another similar surprise on the ridge line between Needles and Crestone Peak on a vertical face as we neared the top of a sharp false peak. He was right under me when I pulled out a solid handhold. Looking down, I knew I dare not drop it. Reed would be right in the line of its fall. Certainly, I just very carefully put it back, gave a loose rock warning, and found a better handhold. The lesson for me was that sometimes one must change intentional directions quickly, roll with the circumstances, and accept the decision with confidence. That breathtaking, scary moment and achieving the ridge top was followed by a huge relief of feeling solid ground once again. Climbing requires attention to so much: the weather, one's energy and personal attitude, awareness of your partner's tolerance for risk, flexibility in changing circumstances, and dependability of the teammate. Such flexibility and looking out for one's partner is what I find at UUCB. We care for each other in ways that create solid grounding in spite of changing circumstances. With Reverend David and his family in mind, I light this chalice in anticipation of a very successful, warmly delightful, intellectually stimulating, and solid grounding experience.
Thank you to Carol Saunders for that wonderful chalice lighting. And we now invite all those gathered in your various locations to join together in fellowship and community as we all say aloud our congregation's covenant. We gather in fellowship to speak truth to each other, to reach out and touch one another, to care with each other, and to seek the truth divine. So be it.
And my friends, during this time of tidal waves, searching for that solid ground, first of all, thank you, Carol, very much for that wonderful chalice lighting. I invite us now to virtually join hands in recognition of our deep connection with each other and with all of life. I invite you into a few moments of silence as we turn inward, settling into our breath and tuning into our own joys and sorrows. What is bubbling up in life for you today? We take time to lift up all that weighs on us, our griefs, our worries, our sorrows, holding each other in this moment of quiet. And let us turn our minds and hearts to all those that we love, holding them with our love and acknowledging all of the pain and challenges and suffering that they too may be facing, the difficulties of life. And I invite you now to share in the chat, if you would like, any of your concerns, laments, sorrows in the chat, and I will lift a few of them up and read them as they're posted. I will mention one, that my daughter is filled with joy that her cat that ran away returned yesterday. So very grateful for that. And of course, we continue to hold all in our hearts who are suffering from COVID and who are experiencing loss and continued health issues and loss of work, the impact of COVID on so many levels. Janet Luongo, visiting from UU Church, West Point, Connecticut. Welcome, Westport, and considering moving to Louisville and joining UUCB. Welcome, Janet. We'd love to have you. And Heidi Todd shares that she is missing the bluebirds in the sky due to the smoke concerns. And Mary says, Janet, we love Louisville. Yes, indeed. And UUCB. Thank you. And I'm welcoming my mom, who is joining us today. Welcome. Please continue posting all that is happening in your world. I also want to lift up the lives that were lost and the damage that was done in the Poudre Canyon, in the flash flood that just recently happened due to the fires from last year. Sharon LaRoque shares that my daughter Lorraine was part of a wonderful performance at the Hub in Lafayette. That's wonderful, Sharon. Thank you. And we're already posting joys and celebrations, so I invite you to go ahead and keep posting any joys, celebrations, and love. Janet responds, Mary Clough, thank you. I think there might be a friendship already happening here. Alan Davis mentions, looking forward to the arrival of daughter Allison and her family who are driving here from California this morning. Wow, long drive. I hope that's a wonderful visit. I'm glad they're able to come. And Laura mentions that we were so happy to visit Oregon and see in person our granddaughters, Amara and Clara. We hadn't seen them in person for almost 2 years. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Glad you're able to do that. Catherine, Art, Chris, Tom, Bob, Janet in Steamboat, Hello, friends. Wonderful. Thank you. Feel free to continue posting in the chat, for this is how we hold our community, and this is how we come together. Soon enough, we hope to be in person again, and we will continue to be online. So things continue to change and shift. But each of you know that we send our love and blessings to each of us, and we hold our container of love in this moment through our chat and through our prayers for each other. Thank you for all of the ways that you bless each other. I invite you now to settle into a meditation with me and take a little time to listen to the bell and settle into your breath. Put your roots down, put your feet on the ground. You can hear the earth sing if you listen. Put your roots down, put your feet on the ground. You can hear the earth sing if you listen. I invite you to settle into your breath and tune into the world around you, the earth that gives you that breath. For every breath you take is a gift. Share your gratitude for your breath that you are able to breathe and the life that it stirs within you as your blood moves through your body, bringing life to every cell in your being. As the water moves within you, put your roots down, put your feet on the ground. You can hear the earth sing if you listen. For the sound of the river as it moves across the stones is the same sound as the blood in your body as it moves across your bones. Are you listening? Are you listening? Can you feel your heart beating? Can you feel the blood moving in your body? Can you feel your connection to all of life? For you too are a part of the first cell amoeba that ever existed on this planet. It lives in your DNA like everything else. Put your roots down, put your feet on the ground. You can hear the earth sing if you listen.
Wendell Berry has been an American novelist, poet, essayist, environmental activist, cultural critic, and Kentucky farmer for over 60 years. Our reading for this morning is his The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. That is the place that we wish to return. Let the waves wash over me, let the waves wash over me. There will be better days. What choices have we had but to surrender to the tidal waves of change that seem to be coming in and crashing in from every direction these days, tossing and smashing us around in the ocean like little toy boats? There have been times during this pandemic when I have tried to control the waves. Foolish me. I fell for that trap again last week, trying in vain to figure out what's going to happen next, and how do we manage it, and how do we plan ahead, and how do we prepare? And the more variables I considered, the more I crashed. I decided to call it decision fatigue. And the following day, I even read an article that actually used the term decision fatigue. So it's a thing, and I'm guessing many of you too know it well. Our office administrator, Amy Zen, keeps telling me that it is like trying to nail down water. There are a few things that we know for sure that I am celebrating, and I'm thinking you are too. Reverend David begins working with us on August 1st. Woohoo! His first service in the pulpit is August 22nd, which we will be doing together. And that is our first service back in the building. All things, hoping that all things go as planned. And don't forget, this will also be water communion. You'll be hearing more about it as things develop. And as we ponder all the ways that we can welcome Reverend David and pave the way for a successful and wonderful shared ministry with David, we also acknowledge all the other issues that are crashing in, maybe in our personal lives and in Boulder, in the country, and globally. I think that the pandemic is amplifying all of these other issues that come up, but that is the way that trauma works. It is cumulative. And I want to let you know also that next week we will have a very special guest, Jen Morley, who is a member of UUCB and also a therapist. And she will be talking about the pandemic and the effect that it has had on all of us and our mental health. And then she's also going to be doing a workshop after the service next week. So I hope you can all join us for that great offering and that great opportunity. But it really is the unthinkable that I keep thinking about. The unthinkable that keeps happening to us. So our thinking has had to expand. Our understanding of our world and our sense of self has had to change to incorporate the unthinkable. I'm wondering how many of you have been waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning wondering what unthinkable thing is going to happen next. Whether we like it or not, powerful change is happening all around us, and thus within us too. Our sense of identity and who we are in the world is shifting and changing because of it. So how do we find some solid ground to steady ourselves? And what do we hold on to through these storms of change? For as things change around us, we have to change our perspectives. As Unitarian Universalists, we tend to get caught up in feeling compelled from our sense of compassion and our obligation and our integrity to do everything we can to save the world. And I applaud that and agree with those values and intention. And yet I see us all, myself included, feeling completely and utterly depleted. For the tidal waves are impossible to keep up with. Even though we are trying to do all the right things, even though it is not enough, we keep trying and wearing ourselves out. There's got to be something better to help us. Well, when the pandemic first started, I started providing meditations. I thought, I don't know how to fix everything, but the one thing that we do all need is to calm down. And it was the one thing I thought that I could help everyone with. And I turned to my favorite sources, which I know are also favorite sources for most Unitarian Universalists: science, for one, Buddhism and earth-based teachings, which we might consider indigenous or pagan wisdom. And I kept going back to Albert Einstein, who said that we have to consider reality and life. All that we experience, everything in life, is either a miracle or nothing is a miracle. Either everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle. So what does science teach us about the miraculous? Well, like I was saying in my meditation, the fact that we are alive, every breath, I never thought about it before. But as we did meditations, I realized every breath really is a gift. And a gift from what? Well, we're afraid to use the evil G word or God, all some of us do. But some of us are afraid of that word, or we run away from it because it doesn't work for us, which is fine. But what is this thing that gives us life through the air? Well, science tells us about that too. It teaches us about the plants that give us oxygen that we breathe in, and we give it carbon dioxide, all the plants. And is that not a miracle? That's a brilliant miracle. And we all share DNA that goes back to the very first single-cell organism on the planet. And isn't that a stunning thought? That every living thing that has ever been on this planet has shared the DNA that runs through your veins right now. Life is being regenerated over and over in each moment. And it has been with us for so long. To really ponder these things is to give rise to gratitude and compassion. And every source, every faith tradition, every religion teaches gratitude and reverence for this gift of being alive. And my friends, we don't need to get lost in the question of, do we believe in God or do we not believe in God? For that question is just a distraction. You can feel gratitude and reverence just for being alive. And every source also teaches the importance of compassion. So I, like most Unitarian Universalists, tend to struggle with the word like holy or sacred or even God, as I mentioned. But if anything is holy, it is this. It is the relationship that we are in with life. Reverence, gratitude, and compassion are the ways that we honor the gifts that we are freely given. This is the reciprocity that we can give back. And this is how we feed that mysterious thing that we call holy, that deserves our reverence. So what do we hold on to? We hold on to relationship with this holy. It feeds and restores you as you feed and restore it. As we sing the world back into being with our reverence and gratitude, the world sings us back into being through the love given in every breath, in every drop that you ingest or bathe in every bit of food, in all the love that you have ever experienced. So one of the things that I learned when I went to visit Pine Ridge Indian Reservation the first time was the importance of this reverence and giving back. I was helping an older man, native person, put window coverings on all the windows to prepare them for winter. And his daughter brought some water out for us to drink, and the first thing he did was poured some on the ground. And I asked him why, and he said because he always gives back a bit of anything that he takes in first before he ingests it himself, to honor that relationship. So I started doing that a few months ago, and it has been a simple little ritual that I do first thing in the morning, and yet saying to the earth, thank you for another day. Thank you for this life that you have given me, has been a rather transforming experience. So I'd like to share with you a short story that is in the book called The Unlikely Piece at Cuchamankik by Martin Prechtel. And it's a story about Navajo boys. He says, as young children on the reservation, I remember the deep need to run. For all the young Indian people, both girls and boys, running was as great a characteristic of the indigenous life of Pueblo Navajo and Apache people who lived on their original beloved homelands. Well, school authorities learned early that these students could never be threatened with expulsion because they would have loved nothing better. But there was one aspect of school that no student ever missed, and that was a foot race of any distance scheduled by the coaches. And the school coaches, like most of the world, were representatives of that neurotic, competitive need to dominate culture that characterizes most large civilizations. They always felt like they would fail in life unless they could conquer someone else, and they needed to win and needed to cause someone else to lose. But in our school, they were in constant frustration, these coaches. The source of their consternation was in the unshakable fact that even though most of these Indian boys over 13 had running times superior to those of adult Olympians worldwide, they could not be made to compete. They just wanted to run and run at home over the wild, unpopulated land. And they were told over and over again that Indians are an unmotivated race, lacking the go-getter gene, lacking competitive ambition. This didn't mean that they didn't run hard and fast, because they did. However, they didn't do it to beat anyone, but because hard and fast was part of the deliciousness. The young men would run 10,000 meters or 10 miles or 4 miles, whatever distance was designated, even stopping off somewhere to chat or check on something, or always in a group, joking as they ran, and still coming in well under international times. That is, if the coaches could convince them to cross the finish line instead of just running off to smoke and gossip before they wandered in. Living and running were holy things when living and running were holy things you were supposed to get good at, not things to use to conquer, win, and get attention for. Running was not meant for taking, but for giving gifts to the holy in nature. Running was an offering, a feeding of life for the indigenous souls of all people who can still remember how to be real cultures. Life is a race to be elegantly run. It cannot be, it is the gift of the world's diverse, beautiful motion that must be maintained. And it is an obligation to engender that elegance of motion in our daily lives, in service of maintaining life by moving and living as beautifully as we can. What a different way of living. What a different frame and perspective this would give us. It doesn't fix everything, but it does give us a different way of approaching life, which actually does transform everything. So consider creating your own rituals. Maybe when you're out running, think of the deliciousness of how you're running and how you are feeding the holy in the way that you move. Now, I know many of you get it. You feel restored by being in nature, and you are deeply moved when you worship in what I call the cathedral of nature, walking and running, on your bikes, rock climbing, skiing, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So, my dear souls, it's time to take the next step and honor that interconnected flow of life and begin to heal our disconnected souls. We have the choice, as our indigenous ancestors teach us, to participate in that flow of generosity and love that is the very gift of life. Take a breath. There it is, the gift of life. But we are participants and servants, not the creators, not the ones who dominate over it. We are not alone, but we participate in the great flow of life itself. We need to let science inform our gratitude and reverence for life. It is time to return to our relationship with the earth, the sky, the sun, as the true dancing partners that they are. For we are in a dance, and our dancing partner is reality itself. Take a moment. Just look around wherever you are. It is giving life to you, infusing you in every moment. And yet we tend to ignore it and step on its toes and crash into it because we're pretending it's not dancing with us. We act like we are doing all the dancing ourselves, and we have lost the beauty in the movement with life. What a lonely, desolate, starving existence that can be, putting all the responsibility of life and sustaining life on our undeserving shoulders. And yet, meanwhile, the world is calling and whispering and enticing, dancing and singing to us to move and flow in the music of this great cosmic relationship. We are not in charge. We are servants, dancing partners, participating in life. You are here to do your part, but only your part. For we can try our dangest to fix things, but it is not working and it will not work until we return to this dance. The giving with love and receiving with gratitude all that life gives us. This is where the healing begins, and this changes our perspective, which changes everything. Listen to this for just a moment. Did you notice how everything changed in just that moment? That is what is waiting in every moment of our lives. This, when we return to the relationship, is where healing begins. So dance, my friends, dance with the divine and rest in the love that it holds you with every moment of every day. May it be so. Amen and Ashe.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
The offering this month supports the vital ministries and programs of our church that serve to sustain us and keep us connected among ourselves and within the wider community. You can make a donation now using the link posted in our chat, or by sending a check to UECB, or by scanning the QR code on the next slide with your mobile phone. Please be as generous as you can. We will now receive the offering. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the Boulder community.
The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. Oh, this is where we are called to be. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. Oh, this is where we are called to be.
Thank you, Deborah. So beautiful. I invite you now, if you feel like it, to click on View in the upper right corner of your Zoom screen and click on Gallery View just to see everyone and greet everyone. You can wave if you feel like it. It's a joy to see all of you, whether you have your cameras on or off. Feel free to turn your camera on if you'd like. And now I invite you now to imagine holding hands. Or our friends in Steamboat could actually hold hands, couldn't they? Yeah. I invite you to hold hands. And you can hold your hands up if you want to do it this way. And pick someone in one of those screens to hold hands with. The hand in yours belongs to a person whose heart is sometimes tender, whose skin is sometimes thin, whose eyes sometimes fill with tears, and whose laughter is a beautiful song. This person is the holy. The holy is within each of us as we come together on Zoom and in person, as we come together in community. As we prepare to leave, may your hearts remain open as you dance together in reverence with the holy and rest in the love of the divine with each and every breath. Love to each and every one of you. Amen and Ashe.
Go your way in peace, wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take, may love guide you on your way. Go your way in peace, wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take, may love guide you on